Welcome, everybody. I'm Zeus Caraval from ZK Research, and I'm here for another real-time recorder with Dave Michaels. And Dave, we're doing these, of course, now in conjunction with our media partner, No Jitter. So look on, hopefully, I don't know if people looked at it on No Jitter or YouTube, but either way, they can do that. Now, this was a kind of a busy week in communications. It's good to see the activity coming back. You know, it's springtime, so this is when we would have been at a lot of analyst events, and now we're just at a lot of virtual analyst events. We're going to talk this week about Talkdesk. They had some news come out. Zoom came out with a whole, veritable cornucopia of new announcements. And then there was kind of interesting announcements from Jabra with the new Panacast announcement. So I'll start off, Dave. With Talkdesk, they turned 10, so congrats to Tiago and team. They've done a very nice job. Actually, that's very funny. I was surprised they were 10. I didn't realize they'd been around that long. But yeah, so with that comes a new logo, new colors. They decided to, as you had the little cup there, that it's purple now, which is interesting because there's not a lot of purple tech vendors out there. I thought of Extreme Networks, and I couldn't really think of any other ones. So at least it gives them a bit of uniqueness there. Outside of that, though,
I heard that Apple was inspired enough by this that they launched a new iPhone in Talkdesk color, Talkdesk purple.
I think that's a very specific Talkdesk iPhone. There was a whole bunch of news as part of as part of their turning 10, though. I don't know what you like. What I really liked, though, was the Talkdesk Builder application, which is the low-code, no-code interface. I think this is something, we've talked about a little bit before, but if you follow the trends in the application space and you believe that for whatever reason the communications industry is always behind the application space, the entire rest of the application world has gone to low-code, no-code, right? Salesforce has it, Microsoft has it, and now, Talkdesk has brought that. Now, they're not the first, right? So Five9 bought Whendu. Cisco bought IMI Mobile. That's part of their strategy as well. But I do think the Talkdesk feature is a little bit broader. So they have a connections product, which is similar to Whendu, which is what Five9 bought, which is basically an integration platform as a service, so an iPaaS type of service. However, Talkdesk Builder also has a UI builder, reporting builder, workflow builder, and there's a lot more integration capabilities that Talkdesk has that I think both Cisco and Five9 have. So, kudos to that team. CK briefed us on it. She is a brilliant lady. I think they're really lucky to have her. Their innovation's been really good there, and I really like the direction that contact center is going with the low code, no code, because I think it's going to expand the use of it and the applicability to line of business people directly versus just always your contact center buyer.
Yeah, I think the rebranding is nice. It's fresh. I'm not so sure about these little three dots. I mean, normally they go the other way. I don't want to spill anything here. Normally they go the other way. But I almost think of it, it's an ellipse when it goes that way, and I always think of that as like on hold. I called customer service and they put me on hold. ... So it seems like almost kind of a wrong thing. But anyway, it's also they're using it as a hamburger type of menu. The additional options. I think it's fresh. I will say the rebranding is right on schedule. New image, new logo, new website, and about 18 months after the new CMO. So that's about right. And you talked about the builder. I think I'll talk a little bit about the workspace. It's an interesting concept. For the past few years, we've been exploding the back end of services. We've gone from the monolithic contact center application to all these microservices. And now we're going to a new chapter, which is exploding the client or the front end. Basically, we're doing the same thing. We're looking at the client as microservices. It allows you to do more personalized experiences, different personas, modularized capabilities. So this is an important trend, and you combine that with APIs or the builder as you described, and we're getting to a very different contact center, not your father's contact center, as they would say. It's a really nice concept. I love what they're doing. It's all been launched. We don't know how well it's going to work, but I will say, if it doesn't work, that the admins will be wearing purple too, the bruises. But it's all good stuff. So let's see what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So the next topic is Zoom. They announced a bunch of stuff, and Zeus, you wrote a post on that on No Jitter.
I did, yeah. We talk about Zoom a lot, and Zoom is an interesting company, right? Because we've actually sort of joked about this, that pre-pandemic, would you have wanted to go to work at Zoom? Because the world didn't need another video vendor. And a lot of people think of Zoom as a PC-based video company, but indeed there's so much more than that. And one of the big questions is, as we come out of the pandemic, are they going to stay relevant? So if they are, they have to add capabilities that are outside of the core PC-based video that they have, and that's what they did. So some of the things were media enhancements. Like, for instance, they came out with their immersive mode, which is similar to the Microsoft Together mode, which is kind of cool, right? It breaks the monotony of the see you, see me, and the individual tiles that you have, and makes it at least look like we're in the same room. So it's a bit of a different way to look at things. I do think that might become the de facto mode, though, that we go to. They also added Alexa integration, which is important, I think, just because while they have the Hey Zoom capability, their own voice agent, there's lots of Alexas deployed out there. So if I can, people who aren't very technically savvy, if they know they can go in and say, Alexa, turn on my Zoom, Alexa, start the meeting, Alexa, mute, or whatever, that might actually increase the utilization of it. I thought they came out with kind of a couple of cool features too, for meeting rooms. One was something called Vanishing Pen, in which a lot of times when we're in meetings and we're doing things collaboratively, we circle items and then we got to go hit undo a whole bunch of times, right, to get the slide back. But it'll let you annotate things that disappears. And they had a mobile enhancement too. So if I'm putting shapes on a mobile device, that's hard to do, but it'll understand you want to make a triangle or circle and auto shape things. So I do think this is all part of Zoom's shift to more of a platform. It's going to allow it to be used more and more places, right? And so, they have kept the innovation, engine going there. And so, kudos to that team.
Yeah, so it was a lot of news out of Zoom this week, and I do this monthly newsletter, and it's got different sections for video and customer engagement and UCAS, and the video section is always the longest, and Zoom is a big contributor to that. So much change happening. The company is moving so quickly, as you pointed out in your No Jitter article. But they're not alone. I mean, Cisco's been doing a tremendous amount of stuff, and so is even Microsoft. And we're seeing new devices. We'll talk about the Panacast coming up here. So just an incredible amount of stuff happening in the space. Now, the immersive share screen, or what I forget the name of it, but the immersive shared background that they just launched is a great feature. Microsoft calls that Together mode. I think Microsoft and Zoom are the only ones that have it right now. I'm sure we'll see more companies come out with it. It does two really important things. It gives everybody a virtual green screen, the same common background, so you're in a virtual common space. It also resizes all the participants. Sometimes you notice when you're in a tile Brady Bunch type of view, some people are really big and some people are kind of small. And so what they do is they actually take those foreground pictures, the image picture, they resize them appropriately and make it look like you're all in one space, appropriately sized. And it's actually a pretty neat technology. I like it. I don't know how much it does toward productivity, but it's kind of gimmicky, but it's also people like it, and so I'm good with that. My problem with it actually is the name, and the problem with the name is the word immersive is confusing because we've been using it different ways over the years. Cisco used to use it with the big screens, or even HD video was immersive. Lately, Cisco and Avaya have announced what they call immersive share, which puts the virtual green screen and content share together. So you're presenting your slides behind you and always blocking the important piece that I'm trying to read. But anyway, and Ring Central just launched that. They call that overlay mode. So we're having this really wide inconsistency of what to call this immersive experience. So Together mode, immersive mode, overlay mode, whatever, immersive share. It's getting really confusing to know who has what, which is why I sometimes get it wrong. So with that, I think we've covered Zoom pretty well.
Yeah, one more note on Zoom. A happy anniversary. I saw Eric Yuan posted on his Facebook page. 2 years since they were listed. So they opened at 36.
Yeah, that's nice.
Last I saw the stock rate, 320. Who would have thought, Dave?
So sticking along the lines of video, this week also we saw Jabra announced some new Panacast products. Now, Jabra is mostly associated with headsets, but they acquired Panacast, in 2019, and that got them into video. In fact, here's a Panacast webcam, and one thing kind of unique about this is it has 3 cameras on it, and they do some interesting tricks. And so they've now expanded that original product into a room system called the Panacast 50. It's a room bar. It's actually an Android appliance. It's got 3 13-megapixel cameras, creating a 180 field of view when they're using all 3 cameras. And they're doing some really interesting technology, stitching those videos together. It's got a bunch of processors on it, auto framing, beamforming, people counting, all that kind of stuff. Now they're leading with Microsoft. It's a Microsoft solution for Teams, but it's an Android-based appliance, so it's kind of a second-class citizen in Microsoft's world. Doesn't quite have all the features, but they've also launching it with Zoom, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more video solutions coming to it because that seems to be the model right now. One of the interesting tricks that those 3 cameras they can do is they could actually do 2 separate images as well. So that's going to be depending on how well it interfaces with the software. But you could have one camera, say, pointing at one person on the one side of the table, another camera pointing at another person, and sending 2 feeds, or maybe one on a whiteboard, something like that. This thing's going to run about $1,200, and it's got speakers. It's an interesting model. Now we're seeing a lot of these types of new models coming out. Some of them being Android based, some of them being USB based. Zeus, do you think we're going to get too many of these models? Do you think Panacast could be successful here?
Yeah, there's already a lot of these things out there, and I want Jabra's not a bad company. Their engineering's pretty good. The devices aren't bad, but it's a very crowded market, and of all the vendors that are out there, they seem to do the least amount of marketing. And when I talk to buyers about it, and I bring Jabra up, a lot of them don't even know who they are, and so I've often looked at Jabra as being maybe, of all the vendors out there, you think of, Logi and even Neat's doing a lot of marketing around Zoom and Poly. Jabra has become sort of almost the least relevant of all those type of companies. Even Yamaha has started doing a little more, marketing around the product.
Even Yealing.
Yeah, and so for the Jabra people, if you're watching this, your products aren't bad. No one really knows who you are, though, and I think that's really holding them back. And starting with the Microsoft ecosystem, whoop-de-doo, everybody does that, and so to me that's not really a big differentiator. Good for them. They came up with a new device. The price point's not bad, but I don't think it's it's game changing enough that people are going to ditch what they're doing with Logi or Poly or Neat or whatever, for this. So if you're a Jabra customer, primarily probably in Europe, you might take a look at this, but I don't really see that having a lot of traction here.
Well, that wraps up week 17 of Real Time Recorded. We'll be back next week, probably with week 18.
Yeah, most likely.